Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Next in Emergency Management with Michael Prasad. He is a certified emergency manager, which is a registered trademark of the International Association of Emergency Managers USA, and used with authorization. He is also the owner of both the Center for Emergency Management Intelligence Research and Barton Dunant Emergency Management Training and Consulting. This is Season 1, Episode 7, and Mike tells me there are no special guests in this episode, just a few commercials in the middle. Check out our other episodes at the CEMIR.substack.com.
Hi folks, and welcome to another episode. I feel like I haven't been writing a lot in the last 30 days or so, but I have been busy. A number of things I have been written, but they haven't been published yet. Much of what we have where I live is all the major public events happening this summer, including the FIFA World Cup Finals on July 19th, which is here in New Jersey. We are also sandwiched between New York City and Philadelphia, so I'm sure the 250th anniversary of our nation on July 4th will go off with a bang up in the air. Fingers crossed it's just fireworks in the sky. I'm still an active volunteer with the American Red Cross, and I'm helping them with a couple of things related to the FIFA World Cup Finals. First is my primary volunteer role, which is in support of Emergency Support Function Number 6 at the federal level for FEMA Region 2. This covers New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the 8 sovereign tribal nations in and around New York State, in the New York State area. Most of the time, I don't deploy to Puerto Rico. Actually, in fact, I've never deployed to Puerto Rico. What I do is deploy to where FEMA sets up their headquarters in the New York City area, and the team of us liaison officers from the various different emergency support functions all get together and provide support to FEMA's leadership for whatever it is that's impacting Region 2. I'm pretty sure we'll be standing up this site associated with the FEMA World Cup Finals, at the least, especially since that's what's known as a national security special event. The Red Cross has a national agreement with FEMA to support these centers with liaison officers across the country, since we're the co-leads for ESF6. I've also helped build out what's called a PACE plan for our communications needs, associated with the FIFA World Cup Finals. This is on a sort of consequence management, meaning that if the Red Cross is not actually in the day-to-day operations involving the World Cup matches, it's the what-ifs. What if something were to happen? What would our ESF6 role would be? And how do we prepare for that based on what we know in terms of situational awareness and intelligence, including the potential threats to the telecommunications systems for both voice and data? PACE is an acronym for Primary, Alternative, Contingency, and Emergency. It's basically a 4-layer deep type of system. Again, for both voice and data is what we're using it for. But you can do a PACE plan for just about everything you have. You can do it for your IT systems, for your office space. You can even do it for your vacation planning. It really doesn't matter what it is, but the idea is 4 deep. I'm not going to go into the details for the security from a security perspective as to what exactly we're doing, but you can read some generalities in the show notes on what's been done, to using amateur radio as one of our layers. I also seem to have overbooked myself on conference presentations, both virtually and in person, for the sort of time frame between spring into summer. By the time this episode drops on the 15th of May, I will have done 2 different presentations, both on the pediatric feeding issues. The first is on May 5th, and that's the Homeland Defense Information Analysis Center's 2026 tabletop exercise. And then there's one on that's a virtual one, by the way. And then there's a second one, which is a live one on May 12th, which was the New Jersey Volunteer Organizations Active in Disaster in-person conference in Somerset, New Jersey. I'm going to track both of these down on my Barton Dunant pediatric page in the milestones document, but I don't believe there's going to be any recordings available. The slides that I will be using are similar to the prior presentations I've done on pediatric feeding. And you can also find the links to those slides via a link I'll put in the show notes to the overall pediatric feeding work that my partner Jennifer Russell, Dr. Jennifer Hope Russell, and I have done over the last couple of years. I'll also have Christopher use his AI voice to talk through the more detailed information about the upcoming free virtual conferences I'll be presenting at after May 15th. There are 2. 2 from the Arkansas Tech University and 1 from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. As I noted, there are 2 symposiums, separate ones, but they're both virtual and they're both free to attend. I'll be presenting twice at the Arkansas Tech one and once at the ERAU one. And of course, links to both of those will be in the show notes as well. And please keep your calendars open for the International Association of Emergency Managers Annual National Conference. That'll be in Long Beach, California in November. Again, details will be in the show notes.
Hello, I am an AI-generated avatar, here to present Safer Rooms from Barton Dunant. Safer Rooms are specifically designed for commercial office buildings, offering secure spaces for both staff and visitors during various incidents, addressing all hazards and threats. These rooms can be either retrofitted into existing office spaces or purposefully constructed in new developments. To discover more about Safer Rooms, visit bartondunant.com/safer-rooms.
As Mike noted, after May 15th of 2026, Mike will be presenting at the following conferences or colloquiums. Some are in person and some are virtual. Registration information for all will be in the show notes. On May 18th, he will present how war in the homeland will impact both emergency management and homeland security at the 2nd Annual Pracademic Emergency Management and Homeland Security Summit. This is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On June 3rd, he will have 2 presentations at Arkansas Tech University's 2026 EMHS Higher Education Colloquium. The first is One Profession, One Standard, the case for singular EM accreditation. From 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Dr. Jennifer Carlson, who is also a certified emergency manager. The second one at that same colloquium is titled Enhance Your Emergency Management Program, IAEM-USA and Epsilon Pi Phi. This one is co-presented by Anthony Mangieri, who is the national lead for Epsilon Pi Phi, and also a certified emergency manager. Finally, at least for now, is on June 4th, Mike will be part of a panel session on infant and young child feeding in emergencies. His co-panelist is Melinda DeZile of North Carolina's Safe Infant Feeding Team. Again, details on all of these will be in the show notes. Barton Dunant Emergency Management Training and Consulting has created a free family water safety system for use at home pools, small rivers and lakes, where there is no lifeguard present. It is not designed for ocean or large lake use and is not a substitute for learning how to swim. It's called the Smarter Water Watcher and is available for distribution by any organization, including emergency managers at no royalty cost. All that is needed is to print and laminate 2 double-sided cards, obtain a whistle and breakaway lanyard, and watch the short training videos. While use of the Smarter Water Watcher system is at your own risk, the additional safety features include changing the way families swim and watch the water for hazards, as well as provide quick emergency instructions should they be needed. You can learn more about the Smarter Water Watcher system at www.bartondunant.com/smarter-water-watcher. Details are in the show notes as well.
I'm letting the What's Next podcast listeners know that my articles on the hot-button subject of a reboot of civil defense in the United States have become a personal passion of mine. What I've published so far in the Domestic Preparedness Journal, Homeland Security Today, the Emergency Management Network Substack, and at least 2 podcast episodes recorded by others is now just the tip of the iceberg. I'm continuing this work over at the CEMIR Substack. Links to all of those will be in the show notes. I would also recommend folks take a look at Quinn Lucy's 2019 essay over at the Homeland Security's Affairs Journal, which is a great read on those historical elements which created FEMA in 1979 and then absorbed into DHS after 9/11. Our nation's evolving landscape of homeland defense since 9/11 has mostly been focused on terrorism, which are not acts of war last I checked. Presidential Policy Directive No. 8 replaced the preparedness mission with protection and prevention and added specific core capabilities only applicable to the threat of terrorism. I do not believe professional emergency managers were invited to discuss these changes made at the U.S. federal level, but now that a revision is being presented, I'm certainly going to be providing my 2 cents or more. And the question of why we limit what I consider an all-hazards, all-phase core capability of intelligence in the United States to only the before phase still baffles me, so much that it was my capstone thesis for my master's degree. And you will see from my advocacy work that I continue to disagree with the merging of Homeland Security missions such as interdiction, investigation, supply chain integrity and security, and some others with the work of local emergency managers, the work that they do every day. And I've said before and written before, my premise throughout all the articles, podcasts, social posts, etc. that I've done have been clear that I fully support the need for additional core capabilities to be added during wartime on the home front. But I disagree that those capabilities should be performed by emergency managers. And if you look at depth at the proposal for what is being called Civilian Support to Military Operation, or CISMO, you will see that it does not follow NIMS principles at the operational and tactical levels. CISMO is not emergency management. What you will find in CISMO is that there is an explicit higher priority for the defense industrial complex over any other community-based critical infrastructure protection, prevention, response, recovery, and mitigation. That may in fact be the goal of a nation during wartime, but from a transparency perspective, it needs a lot more conversations between levels of government and those partners who will be asked to become part of a new civil defense element. Their, quote, hearts and minds will need to be won over all over again. Great news, our CEMIR Substack is now rated on Ad Fonte's media bias chart. We've accumulated enough comment for them to analyze against their proprietary model based on news value and reliability as well as political bias. This point in the middle is exactly where we want to be. You can learn more about the hundreds of media outlets, podcasts, blog sites, etc. that they analyze at a website that I will include in the show notes. So for this last month, I had stories written on Medium since the middle of April 2026, and they are Diploma Depreciation, Understanding the Ripple Effects on Graduate Perception and Opportunity, and I've published 2 out of the 4-part series I'm writing on an update to Norman Rockwell's 4 Freedoms, espoused by FDR before the start of World War II. They seem quite appropriate today. The first 2 are freedom of worship and freedom of speech. And looking at the CEMIR Substack, lots of stuff has been in progress, and while I didn't post any new original work myself, I did cross-post or republish some good reads from others. And that includes Your Perimeter is the Wrong Boundary, the Nexus Between Crisis Communications and Critical Infrastructure from Philippe Bormans. Bormans also has started a multi-part series on the downstream risks and communications implications of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, viewed through the lens of gray zone operations. We've reprinted his first article at the CEMIR Substack. And there are 2 cross posts from Dr. Andrew Rumbach. First, The Progress of Recovery in Rolling Fork, 3 years after the tornado, an experiment in vibe coding. And second, 5-minute research summary, Earthquake Exposure of Populations with Access and Functional Needs. Separately, we cross-posted a new chapter in Foreign Espionage and Clandestine Biological Warfare Against the United States, Hidden Threats from Secret Chinese Biolabs and Agricultural Subterfuge, written by Dr. Arthur Simmental, who is also a certified emergency manager. And finally, the Cassandra Complex, Why the Boardroom Punishes Safety Profits, which is content from the QHSE standard. And don't forget, if you're a free CEMIR Substack subscriber, we'd love to have you invite friends to subscribe so they can read our material along with the rest of us. If you refer your friends, or even your foes, you will receive benefits that give you short-term paid level access to the CEMIR Substack. Learn more from the show notes.
That's it for this episode of What's Next in Emergency Management with Michael Prasad. I'm Christopher, your AI voice for interludes, intros, and outros, and Mike wanted to ask if you would like, subscribe, and or repost these podcasts to help get the word out. This is the end of the audio, as there are some credits to roll on the video after this.